I should say that we're going to try a little different procedure tonight with a second opportunity for folks to speak after the committee reports. So if you want to question, not question, but comment on the committee reports, that'll be an opportunity to do that. All right, so we've got some news on the channel markers and the Coast Guard. Today, this afternoon, myself and some others went to the POA office and got a conference call with this gentleman, Tim Baruski, who is the Coast Guard person in charge of approving markers and channel lights and that kind of thing. Vicki organized a phone call. Marta was there. Carter was there. And Nick was there. Jim was there. No, Jim wasn't there. He went to lunch before we started.
He was there some.
We took his office.
Yeah, we did.
All right. So, he said the following things to us. Anytime you make a change to any pole, sign, or location, you must file a new application. And the word application is a little bit misleading, but it's really a notice to the Coast Guard reporting what you've done or haven't done. That's the law. All right. He said the Coast Guard is discontinuing 6 markers that are currently on our application. Okay. So that means they're going to be removed from our usage. And he said because they're not there. Okay. They have, and we have been in disrepair, his words, not mine, 8 or 9 years. Am I right? Those are his words?
Right.
He said he is sending us a certified letter to me, Marvin Jones, as board president, detailing this along with other information. What else we got? He also said the POA must maintain the markers they have. He said he sent us an email offering us the opportunity for us to voluntarily discontinue those, which we did not do. And he all kind of wrapped up his conversation with, I will discontinue all markers if I have to. All right. Now, we have the opportunity to come back and file a brand new application with whatever we decide that the Coast Guard will accept. One of the unfortunate things about this is that it went from went from Mr. Baruski's control up to their legal department when a letter from our attorney was sent to him. It bounced it up a little higher notch. We might have been able to work that out if that hadn't happened. Just for interest, if the law is not followed, it's possible that they could fine the POA $1,500 a day per violation. He did not mention any financing violations. I think some of us have been preaching follow the Coast Guard rules and regulations and their law for quite some time. All right, so that's new today. The executive director report. Jim, you want to tell us what you've been up to?
Thank you, Marvin. And
I have a question before we go into that.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt you. So Marvin, a question on the Coast Guard markers. Are we not going to talk to the public about what our own legal counsel provided to us, not only in emails to board members, to me, to Carter, and then per your request, on official letterhead from their firm that said we are authorized to, by our current permits, to put in the markers just like the Canals and Waterway Committee said or recommended. And
Well,
also,
it would seem that-
also,
just a minute,
well,
I'll
I'm
answer
still
that
talking, I'm still talking.
All right, so,
So, and of which we made a motion and was passed by the board 4-3. So are we just gonna overlook that?
well, first of all, there seems to be a discrepancy between the board's attorney and the Coast Guard's attorney. So maybe they'll end up fighting it out. I don't know.
I hope not.
I hope not. What we need to do is settle down and get the job done here.
Can
Now,
I,
just a minute. What was your second part of the question? You're waiting for someone to text you the next question.
Actually, Marvin, let me tell you what I'm waiting on.
Okay.
If you want to be sarcastic, I'm waiting on news from a 12-year-old boy that just had surgery for a tumor in his brain.
Well, I apologize. I didn't do. All right, settle down. I apologize.
I've sat here and taken your stuff on emails and on stuff on social media that I know you fed to the public, and I'm not going to take it tonight, okay? So I'm a little bit on edge.
I don't think that's correct, but let's
Well,
calm
I
down
know.
and let's move on with the
And
meeting.
also,
Maybe
you're
I can
working
have a
for
chat
the,
after.
you're working for the POA, not for the Coast Guard.
Well, I don't work for the Coast Guard. And neither does anybody else here. The Coast Guard has control of the channels and the canals. End of story. It's their law.
can I?
Sure, jump in.
See, okay.
So I requested the conference call today, which I knew that a couple of board members would not be available for, but I was hoping that they would see that I had voted for the $70,000, that motion was made by Brent before it was tabled. So I felt that I was an independent view on this. And today, because I wanted to ask some questions myself about it and have other people in the room listening, and we spoke to Mr. Bariski of the Coast Guard, and I had some questions which I'm just going to read real quick. If we change from 12-inch diameter markers on the inside channel to 10-inch, which is what we had talked about, we would require a new permit. Well, we require a new application for that. If we wanted variances in the sizes of the signs, because the permit that's currently in place says that all of our signs, the red triangles have to be bigger because of the numbering, are 4 foot. Well, it's going to look like a billboard almost, as you come around. So we had said inside, not canal markers 1 and 2 on the outside, because they are required to be on 12-inch diameter pilings, and they are required to have a 4-foot triangle. Okay, so we're going to comply with that, but we would need to do an application for that. Then also, since 1991, the 91-92 application, those poles were required to have creosote on them. Well, that's been changed by the Coast Guard, and they use marine treated posts, not creosote dipped posts. So we would have to say, well, we're going to replace them. We need to tell them that they're not the creosote ones. I don't even think we can get creosote. So Mr. Bariski then told me that for and I'm telling you exactly what he told me. You were in the room, you're in the room, you're in the room. They are discontinuing the 6 missing markers. They reckon there's 6. They said 8 years is, he was sort of angry. 8 years is too long. We've been told about these, and we have not done anything about them in the last 8 years. And but 26 markers can be replaced. However, based on the 4 questions I had, we still have to put in a new application because we're not going to use the creosote. We want the smaller signs and we want the smaller poles on the internal pilings. So I had been ready to make later on to make a motion, and today, but to clarify this, because our motion was just to set aside the money that it was tabled, and I was going to make a very clear motion about what we needed to do. However, because he is sending a certified letter to Marvin, I think we should hold off and see what the letter has, just in case something, because that's sort of risk management, just in case there's other stuff in there that we don't know about. This was an off-the-cuff meeting. He did not know we were going to call him. He didn't have anything in front of him, so he was just telling us. So I think it would behoove us to just hold on till we get the letter and the board see the letter and then make a decision. And we can probably do that either via email or in a special meeting or something like that.
Martin?
Okay, I see some confused looks out there trying to piece together.
Really?
Can you hear me?
Really? Confused? Really? Yes, we are confused.
All right, so we met with Tim. Here's the situation. We are currently 100% in violation of Coast Guard regulations. Our pilings, the Coast Guard has documentation going back 8 to 9 years showing that we have been out of compliance, and they are understandably frustrated. Recently, because of this, they view that they claim that between 2014 and 2018, they were working with the office, and again, they got no results. They got no response that they found satisfactory. Every single marker in our channels is out of compliance. This is huge. In fact, Tim Boriski said to me, this is the worst example we have ever seen as far as non-compliance. That is very serious. There's a couple other things you need to know. You cannot just place a pole where you want to that has not been authorized by the Coast Guard previously. I was shocked to find out they consider that a criminal offense to put poles in where that are not authorized. Right now we have 10 unauthorized poles in our channels. In addition, the Coast Guard has full authority and power and the intention, because of lack of compliance, of removing our voluntary compliance status and moving us into mandatory compliance. What we found out today is that when he became aware of Mr. Bell's letter, they bumped it up to legal. Legal's response to not replying to Mr. Boriski's directive to discontinue missing markers meant that the Coast Guard did what's called an administrative discontinuance. That means they took the matter out of our hands and did it themselves. That does not bode well for us. And I gotta tell you guys, I don't want us dragged into a big, ugly legal battle with the Coast Guard. And I have tried and tried and tried to warn people that that's where this was heading. And so this is where we are with them. Our best option is to listen to them, cooperate with them, follow their guidance. They are the authority. The Corps of Engineers has full control of the channel. The Coast Guard has full authority about how it is marked. If we want to continue and not get into even deeper trouble, we need to cooperate, and we need to do it now. I agree with Vicki. We need to get that certified letter. And based on my experience, it's going to define very clearly what we are expected to do. And if we don't, there will be consequences. I don't want to go there, and I'm sure nobody else here wants to go there. Let's be reasonable. And I have to go on record. There's been several, as Marvin, Nick, myself. We cannot sign off on or support or vote for something we know is in violation of Coast Guard regulations or the law. We cannot do that. It would be a horrible disservice to this community. So I'm pleading with everyone, let's get the questions answered. let's follow the Coast Guard policies and procedures. What some are not seeing here that's critical is the Coast Guard 2554, commonly referred to as the application, is merely a vehicle for updating what's called the light list, okay? That light list has to be accurate. It has to be. That vehicle allows us to move, remove, add, change navigation aids. It's an all-purpose document that allows us to do these sort of things. We have no choice but to do that because under Coast Guard law, we are not allowed to move a marker, remove a marker, add a marker, or change a marker without this application. Mr. Boriski has made this very, very clear, and if we do not cooperate, he will discontinue every single marker in our channels, and then we will have no choice but to say, yes, sir, and follow their directives. Cooperation will get us a lot farther than arguing with them. I am pleading with all parties. Just cooperate with the Coast Guard. It will work out better for us, it will be faster, and we will get the markers we need in the channels. Thank you very much.
Carter. Okay, the permits that we have today are on record, filed, and we were under the impression that we could repair, replace, maintain properly the markers that we have today by authority of the permit that we have today. And so we could never get a good answer as to can we proceed, and so we asked our attorney about it, and he studied it, and he came back and said that you're perfectly within your abilities to follow through with the permit that you currently have. The problem is that the permit that we have says stuff like creosote poles and stuff, and so that throws us in. And if it's true that if you change anything, you have to reapply, then, but we only have that from Boriski. Our attorney doesn't believe that. But we want to change the size of the signs and the size of the poles and some stuff like that. So the easiest thing to do is just go and reapply for the permit. But we want to ensure that we put the same 32 markers, that's between both canals, back. And truth be told is the canals have changed a little bit from the weather and some stuff like that, and probably wouldn't be too dumb of us to maybe readjust a couple of them and stuff like that. So we think we ought to get a surveyor to go out there and tell us, put white poles where we're going to put the poles and some stuff like that. But anyway, this has been a long, disgustingly difficult thing, and we're all weary, and we all want to get it done. And the goal, wouldn't y'all agree? The goal is to have it done by long summer. You could go on for days about the details on this thing, but it's been important. But we want to comply with those comments.
Business of putting in permits. It has been months that we have been discussing with the Coast Guard and bickering back and forth. If that letter will arrive, we no longer have a choice. The Coast Guard will tell us what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. If the board or another attorney wants to take on the entire Judge Advocate General Corps of the Coast Guard, I really don't think you should do this. They're going to send an inspection team, and that team will say, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you. That is not a good thing.
Well, we already had direction from the Coast Guard as to what to do. We just couldn't get it going. But what is the motion that was successful?
Remember? It was a 4-3. What, have you
It
ever?
was the 4 outside, north
No,
and
that was
south
one.
canal markers, 1 and 2. On an 8,000 set aside,
Right.
and Blues Coastal Construction
But there was another one.
were doing it.
Right, the original motion was to get
Second.
approval and bids for repair and maintenance of all the markers, and we have that, so we're ready to go with it as soon as we can get past the Coast Guard's immediate letter coming in. So it would be silly on our part to go out and start planting poles until we read the letter. It should be coming shortly. It's out of Mr. Peruski's hands, who was able to negotiate some, but once it goes to legal, once one lawyer gets involved, the other side always gets the lawyer involved. I can attest to that from years of experience. All right, anything else? Brent?
Carter, to directly answer your question, the motion was to support the proposal by the Canal and Waterways Committee as proposed and per our permit. It passed 4-3, and that was over 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. So it's actually very similar to nothing being done on the audit, nothing being done on the park, nothing.
But what do we do about motions that were passed that were not? I mean, how do we fix that?
You just live with it.
Well, we've completed the first motion, okay? The second motion, we've got several motions in here, and I'm a little confused on what is what, so maybe our secretary can tell us where we are.
Yeah, so the first motion was June 26th, and it was Marta who asked for a motion to obtain multiple bids for a maintenance contract to replace or straighten pilings and install signage on a per pole basis, and that was carried 4-1. Nick seconded it. That's the one we just got the bids in, apparently. And then we had one, and this was July, the last meeting, July 24th. Brent had a motion to fund the $70,000, which was the initial Canals and Waterways version 1, I think, to replace the current canal markers. Carter seconded, amended by Nick. It said motion to table Brent's motion so the board can get together with a deadline of 2 weeks to decide who in the Coast Guard we have to talk to and exactly what sort of markers and signs we need. That was carried 5-2. Then we had an email vote, which I don't have in front of me, and I believe it was Marta's motion to replace the 4 outside North Canal, South Canal markers 1 and 2, so just those ones right on the outside. And we had an 8,000 set aside for that, and a contract with Blues Coastal Construction.
They had no contract.
Oh, I thought we had him bid it.
No, it had not been bid.
Okay, he bid something, but anyway, okay, that's what I thought it was.
There was an email. Oh,
It was in
well,
the email.
hold on. And wasn't there another email?
Yes, there was.
There's another one after this.
What was that one? I'm sorry.
The motion that passed, which was to support the Canal and Waterways revised proposal to repair or to replace the markers that are out there, as per the permit and as per their proposal. Who voted for that? Me, Daryl, Carter, and Vicky. It passed 4-3. So here we are. Motion's passing.
Well,
Let's kick the can down the road 2 weeks.
And then
Nothing
Bruce, he
gets done.
gave us some leadership in a letter, which is what prompted Marta to replace the outside core, and we were headed down the road. And we'd have been fine with them if we'd have gotten started. And now,
no.
we're in poo land.
No, you have to file a new application. If you lose one, if you replace one, no matter what you do, any change whatsoever, Isn't that what he just told us today?
That's what he told us.
Yes, and we've all, some of us have known that by reading the law for quite some time. So, there you have it. Now, once we get this letter, it will be time to move forward here. I would very much like to be able to keep my word to Fred that we get this done by La Posada.
Especially since it's, we have a TV commitment,
Yeah,
and it's gonna be the longest parade ever.
all right. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's one thing to have a motion that is approved, which is great, that's just fine. But we still have to follow the Coast Guard's procedures to accomplish those things. And just to give you a bit of insight, the coordinates that are on our old permit that the Canals and Water Committees would like to revert to, not only are there problems with the sign and the creosote and the size of the pilings, but in several places, there are more than one marker with the exact same coordinates, which means they'd be right on top of each other. There are more than one coordinates. One is in a sand dune and two others are out 3,000 feet southeast of the North Channel. Now, hold on. There are problems with the coordinates. Now, we cannot change where we're going to put a pole without notifying the Coast Guard so that they can put that, because the coordinates on the light list have to be accurate. Now, if you want to argue the coordinates on it's very clear. There's some that have the exact same location, okay? This is what Tim Brisky is telling me. So, if we change anything, location, size of the pole, size of the sign, anything, even though we already have a permit, we are bound by law to file an application. So we are informing them of our decision. We can't take action without their approval, so they have to approve it. That's all we have to do. This is simply administrative paperwork, record keeping, because they have to know where the markers are, okay? So, Carter's right. Our best option right now is just give them the permit that they want, follow the procedure, let's get it approved, let's move on, let's get it done.
Starry, starry night.